We turn out to Capitol Hill, where we find our Caitlin Huey-Burns. There are not many members of Congress there, but you are. Caitlin, catch us up on what is or isn't happening.
Yeah, Adrian, can you hear my echo here? It is so empty. I can't think of any other job in any other industry where you could go home for 2 weeks without actually completing the task you were supposed to complete before leaving town. But this is Congress. Here we are again, and Congress has left for a 2-week recess without solving this issue. If you remember, last week, the Senate, by unanimous consent, passed a measure to fund pretty much everything in DHS except for ICE. The House decided they didn't like that. They didn't even take it up, even though it had been negotiated by Republican Majority Leader John Thune. House Speaker Mike Johnson instead had them pass a 2-month continuing resolution to kick the can down the road further. Meanwhile, Americans everywhere are wondering, why can't Congress figure it out, and how are they allowed to leave these halls without having done so?
Welcome, guys. Adam is here. So this happening right now, the United States is actively engaged in military conflict. American service members are deployed in harm's way. TSA agents are working without pay. Airports are descending into chaos. Families are struggling with rising costs.
Airports are still dealing with those long TSA lines. Relief could be on the way, though. An order signed by President Trump should get TSA officers a paycheck tomorrow. They have been missing paychecks for weeks. ABC's Mola Langi is in Baltimore.
Well, Perry, Michelle, those paychecks for TSA agents cannot come soon enough. It is shaping up to be another long and busy day at many airports across the country, including here at BWI. As you can see, lines already forming. This is going to be a long one for a lot of these folks. Folks advised to get here 3, 4, 5 hours before their flights, just to wait in these seemingly endless lines that, as you can see, snake and twist and turn their way through the terminal, at some point even spilling out onto the curb outside. Nationwide, more than 3,500 TSA agents called out of work on Friday alone.
And the people who are supposed to be running the country, the members of Congress who were elected to govern, who took oaths to serve, who are paid with taxpayer money to do the people's business, have packed their bags and gone home. MAGA Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, has officially shut down the House of Representatives.
Congress is now on a 2-week recess after failing to pass a deal to end the partial government shutdown. Yesterday, Democratic Representative Jim Himes told our Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation he thinks funding lapses are becoming all too common.
We have gotten too used to using shutdowns as a mechanism of getting what we want legislatively. And what that implies is that people like TSA agents or folks that work in the federal government for the Department of Agriculture or so don't get paid when one party throws a tantrum, right? Now, in this case, I happen to believe that the American people, are with the Democratic Party and saying you don't get to act like ICE acted in Minneapolis. But we do need to get away from legislating through shutdown. That is not consonant with the great country that we are.
2 weeks, they are gone, vacationing, while the country burns. This is not a drill. This is not hyperbole. This is what happens when a political party has no interest in governing, when the only thing that matters is power and loyalty, when the basic functions of government become bargaining chips in a game that has nothing to do with serving the American people. Let me walk you through exactly how we got here, because the sequence of events is almost too absurd to believe. Last week, the Senate did something that should have been routine. On a bipartisan basis, they passed a bill to fund the TSA, airport security. The people who screen passengers, who keep flights safe, who make sure that when you get on a plane you aren't flying with someone who shouldn't be in the air. That funding was going to pass.
This afternoon, the Senate has approved a funding package to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and that includes the Transportation Security Administration. That bill now heads to the House for approval. Sky 6 taking a live look. Again, there at Philadelphia International Airport, President Donald Trump also said he will sign an order instructing the DHS to immediately pay back those TSA workers who have been working without pay. ABC's Perry Russum has the very latest now from New York.
A major breakthrough in ending those long lines at airports around the country.
The bill's amended is passed.
The Senate passing a bill that would fund most of the Department of Homeland Security, including TSA. The lack of funding has caused weeks of missed paychecks, forcing TSA officers to call out of work in record numbers. Officials say TSA wait times have become the longest in the agency's history.
Democrats and Republicans agreed on it. It was a done deal. But here's the catch. That bill did not include additional money for ICE and Border Patrol, because ICE and Border Patrol have already been funded. Hundreds of billions of dollars. They have what they need. What they don't have is accountability. What they don't have are basic safeguards that any law enforcement agency should have. Warrant requirements, identification protocols, rules that stop them from showing up at polling stations during elections, rules that stop them from entering homes without warrants, rules that stop them from terrorizing communities while wearing masks that hide who they are. Democrats have been clear about this from the beginning. Fund the TSA. Fund FEMA. Fund the Coast Guard. But ICE and Border Patrol have enough money. What they need is reform. And until those reforms happen, no more blank checks. The Senate understood this. They passed a clean TSA funding bill. No ICE money. Just the funding that keeps airports running and travelers safe. And the House blocked it. MAGA Mike Johnson looked at a bill that would pay TSA agents, that would keep airports functioning, that would protect the traveling public, and he said no, because it didn't include the things he wanted, because it didn't let Republicans bully transgender people, because it didn't give Trump the fight he was looking for, because governing, apparently, is not the point. The point is the fight itself. So the Senate bill and the House bill went in different directions. The Senate wanted to fund TSA, the House wanted to play games, and then, instead of staying to work it out, instead of doing what they were elected to do, instead of serving the people who put them in office, MAGA Mike Johnson shut it all down. He sent everyone home. 2 weeks of vacation while the country is at war, while airports are falling apart, while the government is in chaos. And now, Republicans are going on state media, going on Fox News, going on the shows that have been their safe space for years, and they are complaining. They are confused. They cannot understand why people don't see things the way they see them. Congresswoman Moulinaire from Michigan went on Fox and said exactly that. She doesn't understand why Americans aren't applauding what they're doing. She doesn't understand why people are upset. She doesn't understand why the public is angry that Congress has abandoned its duties to go on vacation while the country faces crisis after crisis. Let me help you understand, Congresswoman. It's because you left. It's because you took a vacation while TSA agents are working without pay. It's because you went home while American service members are in harm's way. It's because you shut down the people's house while the people's business is undone. That's why people don't see it the way you see it. Because what you're doing is indefensible, and right before MAGA Mike slammed the door and sent everyone packing, there was a moment on the House floor that should be replayed in every congressional district across the country. Democratic Congressman Jim McGovern stood up and reminded his Republican colleagues of something that seems to have been forgotten in all of this chaos. Republicans control the Senate. Republicans control the House. Republicans control the presidency. They are in power. They are the ones who can pass legislation. They are the ones who can fund the government. They are the ones who can end the shutdown and pay the TSA agents and keep the airports running. And yet, they keep blaming Democrats. They keep pretending that Democrats are the ones blocking things. They keep acting like they're not the majority, like they don't have the power to fix what's broken. McGovern's words were powerful because they were simple. You are in charge. Stop blaming us. Do your jobs. Then, the House went dark. And the Senate, knowing that the House had left, knowing that nothing could pass without the House, sent guidance to its members. Senator Thune, the majority leader, told Republicans that he was trying to work with Schumer on something, anything, that could get through. But he noted that Democrats had already blocked continuing resolutions that would give ICE more money. They've been clear. Fund TSA. Fund FEMA. Fund the Coast Guard. ICE has enough. And the public, by the way, agrees with them. People know what ICE and Border Patrol do. They see the raids without warrants. They see the masks. They see the homes entered without permission. They see U.S. citizens detained. They see the videos from Los Angeles, from Chicago, from Minneapolis. They see the over-aggressive enforcement, the lack of accountability, the force that has been unleashed with billions of dollars and no oversight. Trump's big beautiful bill, the one Republicans passed, gave ICE and Border Patrol $170 billion. They are handing out $50,000 bonuses. They have lowered hiring standards. They have reduced training. And they have sent this force out to do what exactly? To harass immigrants? To violate the rights of U.S. citizens? To terrorize communities? To show up at airports, for some reason, when TSA is the agency that should be handling airport security. Tom Homan, the so-called border czar, was asked about ICE's presence at airports, and his answer was about ICE agents. Why are ICE agents in airports? Why is this administration sending armed enforcement officers to places where security screening is supposed to be handled by a different agency entirely? The answer, as with so much of what this administration does, is that the point is not security. The point is spectacle. The point is intimidation. The point is to show that the force is everywhere, that no one is safe, that the government's reach is unlimited. Senator Andy Kim put it directly. People are asking, what are you doing? Just be normal. Just pass some actual legislation. Just fund the TSA and let the airports function. It's not complicated. It's not controversial. It's the bare minimum of what the government is supposed to do, and Republicans can't even do that. And now, with the House gone, with Congress in recess, with TSA agents wondering if they'll get paid, with airports facing the prospect of longer lines, fewer screeners, less security, with the World Cup coming and visitors from around the world about to see American airports at their worst, the question is simple. What is the point of this? What is being accomplished by shutting down the government and going on vacation? Who benefits from TSA agents not getting paid? Who benefits from airport security falling apart? Who benefits from chaos at the nation's airports? The only answer is that someone wants the chaos. Someone wants the government to fail. Someone wants the American people to suffer because that suffering creates the conditions for more power, more control, more of the authoritarian impulse that has defined this administration from the beginning. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat from Nevada, put it in terms that should be impossible to argue with. She talked about the war in Iran. She talked about the American service members being sent into harm's way. She talked about the fact that the administration has not explained why we're there, what we're trying to achieve, or what the exit strategy is. She talked about the $200 billion that the administration is reportedly going to ask for, a supplemental funding request for the war, without any explanation of where the money is going or what it's for. And she said something that should be the headline of every newspaper in the country. If the administration wants $200 billion for an unauthorized war, they need to come to Congress. They need to explain why. They need to show a plan. They need to show an exit strategy. They need to do what the law requires and get congressional authorization before committing American lives and American treasure to a conflict that nobody asked for. But this administration doesn't believe in that. They have gutted the State Department. They have eliminated the diplomatic positions that would have allowed them to talk to adversaries before shooting at them. They have taken diplomacy off the table entirely and replaced it with threats, with bombs, with the language of violence and power, and they are too afraid to hold Putin accountable, too afraid to call out Russia for sharing intelligence with Iran that is being used to target American service members, too afraid to do anything except posture and threaten and pretend that strength is the same as competence. The war in Iran is escalating. The administration is reportedly planning to ask for billions more in funding. And the same Republicans who are blocking TSA funding, who are shutting down the House and going on vacation, who are refusing to do the basic work of governing, are going to be asked to authorize more money for a war that they haven't even debated, that they haven't even considered, that they haven't done their constitutional duty to authorize. Senator Cortez Masto was asked how she would vote on a $200 billion authorization for the Iran war. Her answer was simple: no, not until the administration explains what they're doing. Not until they show an exit strategy. not until they come to Congress and do what the Constitution requires. And she noted that $200 billion could fund the ACA tax credits for 7 years. It could fund free school lunches for children for 7 years. It could help American families who are struggling with high costs, who are seeing their energy bills rise because of the war, who are wondering why their tax dollars are being spent on a foreign conflict that nobody asked for instead of on programs that would help them right here at home. And then there's the Board of Peace. Senator Cortez Masto has introduced legislation to claw back the $1.5 billion that the administration has transferred to this shadowy entity that Trump controls personally, with no oversight, with no transparency, with no explanation of where the money is going or what it's for. The administration gutted the humanitarian aid programs that Congress fought for. They eliminated the State Department positions that handled international disaster relief. And then they created this Board of Peace, this slush fund, and started moving money into it. Money that could be used to help Americans with their energy costs through the LIHEAP program, a proven program that has existed for 40 years and helps families weatherize their homes and lower their bills. Instead, it's sitting in a fund that Trump controls, with no accountability, no oversight, no explanation. The question that hangs over all of this is what happens next. The House is gone. They are on vacation for 2 weeks. The TSA funding bill is sitting there, blocked by Republicans who want to use it as leverage for things that have nothing to do with airport security. The war is escalating. The administration is demanding more money. And the only people who can provide that money, the only people who can authorize military action, the only people who can fund the government and pay the TSA agents and keep the airports running, have gone home. They left. While the country is at war, while service members are deployed, while TSA agents are working without pay, while airports are falling apart, while families are struggling, while the world is watching, they packed their bags and went on vacation, and now they're going to come back, probably, at some point. And they're going to try to pretend that they weren't gone. They're going to try to pretend that they didn't abandon their duties. They're going to try to blame Democrats for the mess that they created. They're going to try to spin the chaos as someone else's fault. But the record is clear. The House was open, the TSA funding bill was there, the Senate had passed it, and MAGA Mike Johnson shut it down and sent everyone home. The people who run this country, who control the House, the Senate, the presidency, who have the power to fix everything that's broken, have decided that they would rather fight than govern. They would rather score political points than fund airport security. They would rather protect the president than protect the country. They would rather go on vacation than do their jobs. And when they come back, when they finally return from their 2-week break, the problems will still be there. The TSA agents will still need to be paid. The war will still be escalating. The airports will still be in chaos. The families will still be struggling. And the same people who walked away from all of it will try to pretend that they're the ones who can fix it. Senator Cortez Masto was asked what her message is to the Republicans who control Congress. Her answer was simple. Do your jobs. Fund the TSA. Institute the reforms that every other law enforcement agency follows. Require warrants. Require identification. Require accountability. Stop using government funding as a bargaining chip in a game that has nothing to do with the American people. Come to Congress and debate the war. Authorize it if you think it's necessary. Explain why. Show a plan. Show an exit strategy. Do what the Constitution requires, and stop pretending that the people who are not in power are the ones causing the problems. You are in power. You control everything. Act like it. The House is closed. The members are gone. The country is waiting. And the only question that matters is what they will do when they come back. Will they fund the TSA? Will they institute the reforms that Democrats have been demanding? Will they hold the administration accountable for the war? Will they do their jobs? Or will they go back to fighting, back to blaming, back to pretending that governing is optional? The American people are watching. The airports are falling apart. The service members are in harm's way. The families are struggling. And the people who are supposed to be in Washington working on all of it are on vacation. That's not governing. That's abandonment. And when they come back, they need to answer for it.